In our nonstop, always on world, stress isn't just a feeling anymore. It's kind of become our default setting. It messes with our sleep, our focus, our energy. It basically rewires our entire system. So today, we're going to explore this really fascinating class of natural substances that have been used for centuries to help the body build resilience from the inside out. Let's dive into the world of adaptogens.
So let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar? You spend the entire day feeling completely exhausted, just dragging yourself from one thing to the next. But then, the second your head hits the pillow, your mind is just racing. That feeling, that kind of paradoxical wired and tired state, it's a classic sign that your body's stress response system is just completely stuck in overdrive.
And that feeling, it's not just in your head. It has a name: burnout. And it comes with a very real, very physical set of symptoms that honestly, millions of us are dealing with every single day, often without even realizing what's really at the root of it all.
And what's so wild is how all these symptoms are connected. It's like this vicious cycle, right? You're under all this chronic stress, so you feel this deep fatigue that just won't go away. But at the same time, you're buzzing with anxiety. And because of that, sleep doesn't really feel like it's doing anything, which leads to brain fog and makes it impossible to concentrate. And on top of it all, your body just can't seem to bounce back like it used to. Not from a workout, not even from a simple cold. This is basically your nervous system waving a white flag.
So what is actually going on inside your body to make you feel this way? Well, it all comes down to this incredibly sophisticated alarm system that we're all born with. It's a brilliant system designed for short-term threats, but the problem is, modern life keeps that alarm ringing pretty much 24/7. Okay, so let's meet the main player in this whole story, the HPA axis. The easiest way to think about it is as your body's central command for all things stress. It's this complex communication highway that connects your brain to your adrenal glands, those little guys that sit on top of your kidneys, and it manages your whole response to long-term pressure. So here's how it's supposed to work. Your brain spots a stressor, a looming deadline, a tough conversation, or even just a really intense workout. That's step one. This triggers a second signal, step two, which then tells your adrenal glands to release cortisol, our main stress hormone, and that's step three. All of this gets you fired up and ready to handle whatever's coming your way. Now, this is the most crucial part. Under normal circumstances, when your cortisol levels rise, they send a message back up to your brain that says, hey, we're good, you can turn off the alarm now. It's a perfect feedback loop. But when you're dealing with chronic stress day in and day out, that off switch just gets worn out. It breaks. The whole system gets out of whack, and you end up with cortisol staying high when it should be low. And that's exactly how you land in that wired and tired state. So if our body's own off switch is on the fritz, what are we supposed to do? Well, this is where adaptogens come into the picture. We're talking about a special class of herbs and fungi used for centuries in traditional medicine that offer a totally different way of thinking about how to manage this exact problem.
The word adaptogen isn't just some marketing buzzword. It has a really precise scientific definition. To qualify, a substance has to meet 3 strict criteria. First, it has to be totally safe and non-toxic. Second, it has to help your body resist all kinds of stressors, not just one thing, but physical, chemical, and biological stress. And third, and this is the absolute key, it has to have a normalizing effect. It helps bring your body back into balance, no matter which direction it was pushed out of whack.
To really get what makes them so special, let's compare them to something we all know, like caffeine. A stimulant like coffee forces a specific, one-way action, more energy, but it often leads to that inevitable crash. An adaptogen, on the other hand, doesn't force anything. It works with your body, helping to fine-tune its own systems, building up your resilience over time and helping you find your own natural balance. I love this quote because it just perfectly captures the whole idea. Adaptogens act like a stress vaccine. They introduce this tiny, mild stress signal to your system, just enough to help your body practice its response. It's like taking your stress response system to the gym. It gets a little workout, making you so much stronger and more efficient at handling the big stuff later on. This is probably the best analogy for that whole normalizing effect we talked about. An adaptogen doesn't act like an on-off switch. It's much more like a smart thermostat for your body. If your cortisol is jacked up too high, it helps bring it down. But if your system is totally depleted and your cortisol is too low, it can actually help support its production. It's intelligent. It just helps your body find that sweet spot, that perfect temperature.
Okay, so this all sounds amazing in theory, right? But what does the modern science actually have to say about it? Let's take a look at some of the real-world clinical research and see how these things actually perform in human trials.
We're going to focus on two of the real heavy hitters, the most researched adaptogens out there. First, ashwagandha. It's a cornerstone of Ayurvedic medicine, and it's famous for its calming, anxiety-soothing properties. And then there's rhodiola, which grows in these super harsh, cold climates, and it's known for its incredible ability to fight fatigue and boost your mental game when you're under pressure.
Okay, so take a look at this chart. It pulls together data from a bunch of different high-quality studies. What it's measuring is how stressed people felt, using a standardized scientific scale. The white bars are the placebo group, and the green bars show different adaptogens. Just look at the pattern. It's pretty incredible, right? Across the board, adaptogens consistently and significantly lowered how stressed people felt compared to just a sugar pill.
And just to put a fine point on it, in one of those ashwagandha studies, people reported a 34% drop in their perceived stress. Now, that is not just some small number on a chart. That is a huge, tangible difference that you can actually feel in your day-to-day life.
So let's just pull this all together. Adaptogens build our resilience by working on multiple systems at once. They help fine-tune that HPA axis and regulate cortisol, just like we talked about. They act as those little stress vaccines. But they also do more. They support our energy at a cellular level, they can influence our mood-related neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, and they even help protect our cells from the physical damage that stress can cause. It's a truly holistic way of strengthening your body's entire stress response network.
And that really brings us to the final question, doesn't it? In a world where stress feels like it's just part of the deal, we have these substances used for thousands of years in traditional medicine that are now being proven out by modern science. They give us a totally new way to think about things, not to get rid of stress, but to fundamentally change our ability to adapt to it. So could this ancient wisdom really be the key to building resilience in our modern world? It's a pretty compelling thought.